All right, guys, we got a Ford rear end. We just picked up this truck. Drove about 200 miles. The bottom of the truck was clean when we got it. However, when we got home, it had shot oil everywhere. Tried to put some fluid in it, and it was really low. And I'm willing to bet this is not going to look good when we pull it apart. It's probably been ran low multiple times. And one of those things I really wish the previous owner would have disclosed, but they didn't. So we're gonna take a look at this and see where we stand. So a little history on this truck, guys. It has right around 265,000 miles on it. Pulling out those bolts, I'm not sure if this differential cover has ever been off. I did put a little bit in it, and this is nasty. There's not much fluid in there, not nearly as much as there should be, and it's brown. That sucks. I'm pretty sure this diff is gonna be toast. I'm probably gonna pull chunks out here in a minute. That fluid is really low. It's brownish. Not sure how well the camera is capturing this, but we do have a double drip pan down here just in case. Try not to let any of this get on the ground. Oh, that smells terrible. Man. So far the pinion actually looks pretty good. Hopefully it's salvageable. Man, that's just nasty. Good thing is the teeth look like they're intact. As loud as this was, I was expecting to see a lot more wear and tear here. That's a good sign. I wanted to put in the air. From what I can feel, everything feels good. This is a limited slip unit. So, man, I don't see or feel any big chunks. Dang, man, look at that fluid. The way the bolts came out, I thought it might have been factory. There was almost no fluid in here. And I actually added about a quart to this morning just to make sure there was something in there. And that was a fresh 75 90, not what's recommended for this, but man, there's sludge in there. There's a lot. I don't know if you can see those chunks coming out. Yeah. Hopefully we can save this unit, but time will tell. But what is impressive is it does have about 165,000 miles on it. It was ran low on fluid, and you know, at least from the initial, the teeth are still there. There's not chunks missing, which is what I expected. So stay tuned. All right, everybody. So I'm kind of surprised, actually. Let's see if I can zoom out here. Forgive the discoloration. I had to use starting fluid instead of brake cleaner because I don't have any brake cleaner right now. But you can see up here on the Ford differentials, they're nice enough to label the gear for us. And you can see 373 and all the rest of the data for it. There is some of the weirdness you're gonna see in here is because of the cleaner. Obviously it's just all kinds of nasty right now. And right there, if you see those two little spots, you can definitely see some hot spotting right there. But what I'm really surprised with is we do not see any big chunks. I'm really surprised. This actually may be salvageable. The fluid looks like absolute garbage. You can see that kind of brown nastiness in there. God only knows when the last time this was changed, if ever. I'm guessing never. But there's some hope. I do think the wheel bearings at a minimal probably need to come out, so we'll definitely be doing a video with that. I think we're going to pull off the wheel bearings and just check them out, especially on the passenger side. This is really impressive though, for a neglected rear end with 265,000-ish miles to be in this condition, and especially after being ran low on fluid, very low, because like I said, I put a quart of fluid in this thing and I think about a quart came out. Not to have giant chunks or anything missing. Honestly, if this had been maintained properly, this rear end probably would be in awesome condition. So, I mean, you can see there's definitely some discoloration from hot spotting and stuff like that, but we might try to put new bearings in it and run it. Definitely got to replace that pinion seal and some other stuff, but not too bad. So far, no surprising, and I've felt all on the bottom here. I've gotten in here and just, you know, made sure there were no giant chunks or anything like that, and so far, I haven't found any big pieces of metal. Now, there's a ton of shavings. You can see me kicking it up here on my fingers. Small stuff like that, metal flakes, and definitely some wear. Get in here and get all sloppy with it. But, yeah, you can see. So, way to go, Ford. You know how to build a rear end, at least. I wouldn't fault any truck with this many miles to have some sort of problem, especially after being ran low on fluids. So, people that want to talk trash about it, hey, it could have happened to any manufacturer. It happens. So, well, we'll check back in here in a little bit. So, I'm not a huge fan of Permatex. I use it when I need to, but that's not in every situation. And especially for diff covers, I like gaskets. It just makes the cleanup easier. But if you do have one that has a lot of Permatex on it, this is what I use. I know there's a lot of debate about that. That's a pretty soft wire wheel. It takes all of about a minute to clean up a diff cover on both surfaces. And hey, it works. For you 10¼ guys, this is the Fel-Pro gasket. I'll include a little picture here of the number. If you notice, that is for a 1985 to 1996, excuse me, I can't talk today, but it does fit this 1990 7-lug F250 with a 10¼ rear. All right, guys, just a couple quick things here. So before we put these bolts back in, I did take and just put them on the bench grinder wire wheel real fast, just to clean up the ends. Took about maybe 30 seconds for all the bolts. That was just cleaning the heads off real good. If you do these, please put the tags back on. They just make it easier for the next guy, and always make sure you use a torque wrench. I use the gasket on this one. There's nothing wrong with using RTV. This is just my personal preference. My torque is set to about 260 inch-pounds, which is right around 22 foot-pounds. That's a little under torque for the torque spec, but these bolts are older than some of you guys watching, so it'll be okay. These Fel-Pro gaskets are pretty forgiving, and typical torque spec is going to be between 25 foot-pounds and maybe 33 foot-pounds in some applications. I want to say for these Ford diffs, it's right around 25 to 28 foot-pounds. If I'm wrong, leave it in the comments, but it's pretty darn close to that, and 22, 23 foot-pounds should be fine. These are not structural. This is just to keep the oil inside the diff there. So, as far as fluid goes, these do call for 75 140, and we're going to be just using the cheap Valvoline. It is a full synthetic. They have these really cool bottles, which make it really easy to fill the fill port, and they're like 11 or 12 bucks at AutoZone a piece. So, this housing takes somewhere around 3.5 quarts. So we're going to get that fluid in, and we're going to pray to the Ford gods. I'm pretty sure we're going to be replacing bearings on this, and that's one of the reasons we're not going all out on it, because it's probably going to need a rebuild soon if it already doesn't. So we're going to get fluid in it, check the wheel bearings, and we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure all you guys are smart enough to figure this out, but the fill port hole is on the driver's side, front of the differential itself, and your plug is actually magnetic. So make sure when you pull these plugs out that you clean them, because that's pretty much the only filtering device these differentials have. They don't have a filter on it like your transmission or your engine. So please, when you pull these diff plugs out, clean them real good. It's even not a bad practice to pull them out maybe once a year and clean them off, and just make sure that magnet is working well, because the more material they have on them, the less effective they are at cleaning stuff out, at catching all those little flakes and stuff. So these little squeeze bottles, these juice bottles, actually work pretty well. I was pretty impressed. Usually I have to have the dip bottle way up high, like above the gas tank, and I have a tube I run down to it, and I'll let it gravity feed in there. I also have a little Vampire pump and stuff I can use. But just for a driveway repair, these actually worked pretty well. So kudos to Valvoline for doing that. But overall, that kind of concludes it. So if you're looking how to just change your fluid on your differential in your Ford, this is going to work for your 8/8, your 10 1/4, and was it the 9 3/4 rear ends are all going to be pretty much the same. I hope this helps some of you guys out, and we'll update in the comments on how this worked out. I'm still pretty skeptical. I don't think this rear end is going to survive much longer, but that's not because of the fluid or the service. It's just because it's been neglected for so long. We're going to do a video also on the front pinion seal here. Pretty simple, straightforward, but we'll get to that on a different video. All right, y'all have a good day. One thing I forgot to mention, guys, these are a 1/2 inch, so don't be fooled, especially if they're really rusted in there. They're not 13s, they're a 1/2 inch, and I recommend using a 6-point on them, because a 12-point, you don't want to strip these. Once again, if you like these videos, like, share, subscribe. Remember to be safe, be nice to each other, and we'll see you next time. All the way.